Hi, welcome to Racehouse with me, Jolie.
And me, Darren Reeves.
We are here in the beautiful English countryside, actually at your gaff.
We are, Joe. Welcome to
HQ.
sunny Hampshire.
This is stunning, it's beautiful, the sun's out, it's gorgeous weather, and we have a break because there's a big break in the Formula One season. Bahrain and Saudi have been cancelled, obviously because of the situation in the Middle East. I myself have come back to the UK, and it's lovely to be home. But for safety reasons, they can't happen. So we've got some time now to discuss F1, and the teams, more importantly, have got some time to really try and make sense of these regulations.
Joe, these regulations have come as a massive shock to Formula One. It's the biggest changes with the engines, with the chassis. We've got the 50-50 combustion engine and electric energy now, and nobody really knows what to expect, and it's all come as a shock. So this enforced break, there's some teams that's going to be brilliant for. Obviously, the likes of Cadillac and the new team, Aston Martin, Audi, those at the back of the grid, but also McLaren and Ferrari and obviously Red Bull, they want to catch up with Mercedes. So the only team that doesn't really want this break is Mercedes.
No, Mercedes have been doing great work, and they've been doing really well in the first three races we've seen: Australia, China, and Japan. Australia, let's talk about McLaren first, because Oscar Piastri had a terrible start to the season.
Well, home race in Australia, all those fans in Melbourne. I've been to Australia 4 times and been at the race, and the fans out there are just so patriotic. They're so energetic. They're just brilliant. So their man, Oscar Piastri, there's never been an Australian who's ever won the Australian Grand Prix, and I was there when Webber did his first ever race in a Minardi, came 5th. Danny Rick as well, one of the biggest personalities in Formula One. Finally, who could have won in a Red Bull? Webber could have won in a Red Bull. But now we've got Oscar, who really is one of the best bets to win in a McLaren. He smashes it up coming out of turn 4 in the car park, couldn't even get to the grid. It was just a shock, and apparently the atmosphere just absolutely took a nosedive in all the grandstands.
Yeah, completely. But it seems like it's a tale of two teams already. Whether or not that's going to continue, it's Mercedes and Ferrari. Mercedes just seem to have this Mario Kart booster licked. They've
definitely got something else. I think there's a big part of it that they are a manufacturer, so they have made the engine and they've made the chassis.
Maybe their time in Formula E as well. They know about batteries. They know about electric.
Very true. That's very, very true. I hadn't thought of that, to be fair. Ferrari are a manufacturer. It's funny how we've got the manufacturers at the front. Audi are now a manufacturer, whereas everyone else is buying their engines from these manufacturers. Yeah. Apart from Red Bull, who have got the Red Bull powertrains working alongside Ford, and of course Aston Martin have now taken the Honda engine who left Red Bull.
Well, we'll come back to that a bit later. And also Alpine, which used to be Renault engines and Renault team, they're using Mercedes now as well. They're
now buying Mercedes engines, the same as McLaren and the same as Williams. Yes, exactly that. I knew there was another one.
So really, these manufacturers, maybe they have these advantages from being in different racing series, from being manufacturers and being used to have to deal with batteries, electronics, and the shift to electric, which is what we're seeing in our household and daily use of batteries.
That's what it's all about. It's about how does Formula One filter down to day-to-day living. And that's why we're seeing these hybrid cars.
Should it though?
Well,
should it?
It's got to be the pinnacle of innovation. But these innovations have got to filter down to real life.
I feel we have enough day-to-day life. You drive down to the shops and back. I mean, let's have something supernatural, super ordinary. We just saw the Artemis 2, the space rocket. It's not an MPV on the back.
It certainly isn't.
I think Formula One should be that special thing where you're getting faster times. I read somewhere recently that the times for the lap times sometimes it's faster, but the qualifying isn't faster, and
well,
it's a real mismatch at the moment.
The qualifying at the moment is they have to harvest energy for the batteries, and so they'll be going down the straight, use up all the battery. China's a great example where there's a massive, great long back straight, and they'll get 3/4 of the way down it and run out of energy. So now it kicks in, and they're not going full pelt because they're now having to reharvest to recharge the battery to get, so.
But this is in the race. During the race, they call it the Mario Kart racing at the time, at the moment, because you harvest the energy, you get the energy, and then you can press the boost button at the right time, and you get that boost, which catapults you forward. Is this real racing?
Well, that's fine.
This is the question.
But then the person that's been passed hasn't used their boost. So they're now behind. They go into the next corner and the next opportunity and just push the boost button because the other car's harvesting.
We've seen this. I think you call it yo-yo racing.
Yo-yo racing, where it's just back up and down, backwards and forwards, however you want to.
I mean, it was kind of cool to see the Ferraris in China, Hamilton and Leclerc, literally swapping and taking turns.
The race in China was phenomenal to watch. Those Ferraris race.
Yeah.
If I was Frank, whatever we want to call him, Vasseur, my mate from Monaco, I'd have struggled with that as a team principal to watch that happening because they could easily have taken themselves out.
Yeah.
However, there has to be respect there. They are two great racing drivers, and there is respect there, and that's what we saw. We just saw great racing. But, of course, it seems to tail off, this yo-yo racing. It seems to start at the beginning of the races. We saw it with Leclerc and Russell in Australia. It was just brilliant racing for 12 laps. Hadjar then breaks down, safety car comes out, and then strategy comes into play. The Mercedes both pitted. The Ferraris were going to run longer, so didn't pit. But, of course, they were never going to make up I think they lost 10 seconds in their pit stops compared to the Mercedes because the Mercedes were under safety car conditions. And then really every race we've seen then settles down after 10, 15 laps of yo-yo racing.
Well, not everyone's a fan. Max Verstappen, he's come out and said, this is not racing. This is not what I signed up for. He's a 4-time world champion. There's rumours that he's threatened to leave the sport.
Well, there were rumours. There's always rumours with Max and everything that's happening. And he's not happy at all. He feels this isn't pure driving the car as fast as you can, pushing that engine as hard as you can. It's a new style. And we've discussed, should Formula One be filtering down or should it stay the pinnacle? The thing is, it's the reason Ferrari are in Formula One is to sell Ferraris. The reason Mercedes, that's the point. It's their absolute flagship part of marketing, and the other manufacturers. So there has to be a crossover at some point. But Max is really not happy at all. But he's in a slow car. It's funny, isn't it? When he's in a slow car, suddenly he's not happy. Would he like these regulations if he was battling at the front? I think he'd be a lot quieter. Could Max have been in a Mercedes this year?
There was a lot of talk, wasn't there?
That's what I'm saying about the rumours. There was a lot of talk, ago, and could Max be in an Aston Martin? Well,
does he want to go in Aston Martin?
Where is that at?
Yeah,
now?
but I mean, Hadjar is kind of like, up the grid for Max. It's very weird to see.
We saw that in Australia and in Japan, obviously, in China, Max had to retire the car. So the first two races, Hadjar... and Hadjar always said, I want to pit myself next to Max to see where I sit. Well, Max made his way up the grid in Japan and Hadjar finished 13th. He just worked backwards. So for Hadjar, that didn't work.
No.
I think for any single one of those drivers on that grid, the only one that we need to see next to Max is Lewis. That's the only one, really.
Well, we want to see Max do well to get up there with Lewis. And I want to see Lewis do well this year. I mean, he must be a bit gutted because Mercedes are doing so well if he had stayed on a couple of years. But, I mean, I remember the season, the porpoising and all this stuff.
It wasn't an option, Joe.
It wasn't an option,
no. He had a 1-year contract offered to him as opposed to a multi-year at Ferrari. Every single driver, doesn't matter how loyal you are to Mercedes, because, of course, Lewis drove Mercedes engines when he was at McLaren. Doesn't matter how loyal you are, every driver wants to race for Ferrari, and when that opportunity comes along, you don't say no.
No, well, maybe Ferrari should use Mercedes engines.
Oh my word!
That might help. I mean, they have a good old jig around. I tell you what, is another mix around is the team principals.
Yes,
being a bit of a jumbo. I mean, Audi, brand new to the sport. They've taken over an existing team, but very strange. They've already got rid of the team principal.
Well, it is a strange thing because Jonathan Wheatley has been very, very upfront at Audi, the launch of Audi with
flying the flag,
Mario Binotto
indeed.
as well. The two of them, there's like leading this new brand. Matteo. Yeah, I can think of Binotto. Yeah, and suddenly Wheatley's gone. And I think the rumours are that he's going to Aston Martin, but we're not quite sure what his gardening leave period is.
Yeah, and just on that, I think Lawrence Stroll said that he wouldn't be replacing Adrian Newey, but he'd be doing duties which wouldn't distract Adrian Newey from running the team and getting that car to.
Adrian Newey is not a leader of people.
No, he's an engineer.
He is
designer.
Not just that, he is the best of all time.
Yeah.
You know, in Formula One, we've had Colin Chapman in the 60s. We've had John Barnard through the 80s and 90s, and Adrian Newey in the 90s, of course, with the Williams. Well, first of all, he was with March where it first started, and then ground effects.
But he's got all this heritage, and yet this car is not performing well. We had such high hopes. This is all the stars aligning for Lawrence Stroll to get his son up there, and what do we see? Not finishing, or is stone last. Alonso down right at the bottom again. The car is super slow.
Going right back to testing these cars in Barcelona and Bahrain. Where were they? They weren't even there.
They didn't do any laps virtually.
When they were there, they couldn't get going. And talking about these vibrations, that when the Honda engine is on the dyno, there's no vibrations. When it's put into the chassis, it all vibrates and they can't drive it. And
so the chassis is probably the problem, isn't it?
Well, no, they think it's something to do with the engine that Honda haven't sorted. So there's finger wagging going on. They need this time, really, to do it. They need testing. They need to be going somewhere. They talked about doing some testing, maybe at Portimao or something. Mm-hmm. But actually, it's not going to happen. They said that logistically, because of everything where it is around the world. I don't know if you've ever watched. There's a Formula One logistics thing on YouTube which tells you how they move everything around the world to all the places. It's brilliant to watch.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's really good. It's worth a watch. But it just wasn't possible. Aston Martin need track time. They need
wind tunnel time. Track time.
They need everything.
And they need to really figure this out.
But they've got it. They've got the facility at Silverstone.
Well, it's right at Silverstone,
That's it.
It's right there.
Brand new. It's fantastic. They've got a lot of people at the top. When you look at all the people up there with Mike Crack, obviously Andy Cow left when Adrian Newey became. You got Adrian Newey. You got Andy Stevenson, who we know there as sporting director. There's a lot of people at the top of that team, and if Jonathan Wheatley comes in as well, and Lawrence Stroll throwing his weight and money around quite strongly, the results have to happen at that team. But are we seeing the fact that pen and paper, which is what Adrian Newey still uses, is never going to be as good as what computer designs?
Well, look at Williams now. Williams are using Claude, the AI.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. You've written...
Yes. So Claude is Anthropic. It's like ChatGPT.
Yes, it is.
And,
but better, apparently.
It is better. And I use Claude. Mm-hmm. And everyone is using it now, and including these teams. All the teams must be using AI because it gives you such an edge on every part and aspect of just moving things around the world as logistics, but also assimilating the data, crunching the numbers, and spitting out, what we, what they need to see in order to improve performance. But Claude are working with them to actually very, very... I think it's very integrated now into the systems, and to kind of predict and use data to predict, actually, if you do this, then this might be the outcome. Now, we've not seen that yet, but again, this month off, or whatever it is.
Williams desperately need this time because they've got... I think Williams have one of the strongest driver lineups in Formula One, and we've seen what Carlos Sainz has done. He's been a journeyman, and he's nearly done all the teams now, hasn't he? But he's been unlucky. He was brilliant in the Ferrari, brilliant in the McLaren. Yeah. And to be fair, like Renault and Red Bull, junior team he was at, wasn't he?
True.
And Racing Bulls, or whatever they were at the time. He. I thought what we saw at the back end of last season with Williams, he had a great end to the season with a couple of podiums, and I thought we were going to see them move on. But they're back there with the likes of Aston Martin and Cadillac as in the bottom three teams, which has been a shock to me, really. But I do believe again, given time, with that driver lineup, with James Vowles at the top, I do think we're going to see Williams move their way up the grid quite cleanly.
We'd love to see that.
I think we will see it.
But we knew that Cadillac, you're just talking about Cadillac, we knew they would be at the back. It's their first season, fine.
Correct.
There's a lot to learn, just the whole world of F1 and how
bits
it works.
flying off the car here and there,
And
which is not great.
They've got two old boys, Perez and Bottas, who are the best number twos we've had, probably.
Correct. There's a phrase.
But not getting any performance. I think it's finally sunk in. Hold on a minute. This is really hard. This is really tough.
Formula One is one of the hardest things to come in, and the budgets that needed. I know there's cost caps, but just think what it would have been had they come in before that. This is why so many. There just hasn't been enough companies, manufacturers, or just privateers, the likes of Eddie Jordan. And
Gene Haas.
Gene Haas came in, but it sort of had links with Ferrari the whole time. There's
He's
always
got
been
a
a
new
number
sponsor
two.
in now. What's the team name for Haas now?
Oh,
it's got a.
I don't know.
They've changed the official team name, but basically he's brought in new funding to try and, because to be an independent TGR Haas team.
I don't even know what that stands for.
I don't know either.
No?
I was on a postcard, guys, if you're listening. He's brought in fresh capital, fresh money to do it. You have to do it. It's a money pit, unless you were getting those results. If you're top 10 drivers or constructors.
Oh, well, Joe, and coming back to it, you've seen Lucas today, who races the karts. It just costs so much money to put those any level out there,
and especially when you crash a car.
Well, do you know what? We've had talks about going into Formula 4, that the costs involved in just running the team running you, and no insurance. Don't crash because you're paying for it.
Well, Ollie Behrman,
right?
I mean, it wasn't a massive crash. It's not the worst we've seen, but it was 50 Gs.
50 G. Well, let's just compare that to the big one of recent history, which is Grosjean in Bahrain.
Yeah.
His impact through the barrier was 53 G. I don't know if I didn't video the interview, but when I was talking with Mark Blundell from the back in the 90s, he was teammate with Martin Brundle. He had a massive crash in IndyCar, which was 120 G. Look it up on YouTube.
Wow.
Mark Blundell IndyCar crash. In Las Vegas Speedway.
Robert Kubica was about 72, I think.
That one in Canada, was it that one that rolled it?
And these guys are walking away from
I
this.
know. Well,
unbelievable. But Ollie Behrman, again, I mean, he's okay, but he sought treatment, and thank God. But that car costs a fortune now to replace.
They certainly do, and privateer teams are going to struggle with that. Now, talking about Ollie Behrman's crash, it actually happened for a reason. He was coming up behind Colapinto. I'm trying to remember who it was now. He was coming up behind. And because Colapinto was harvesting energy and Behrman was boosting, they came into the corner. They came out of the hairpin, round the corner to go into 130R, into the spoon curve. And he... Basically, the closing speeds were just astronomical. He just had to go out on the grass and lose control. And the drivers have been saying in all the driver briefings, there's going to be accidents that happen because of the closing speeds, the differential because of the battery. And we need to change things of how the batteries are deployed and harvested in the race to prevent massive accidents happening. So, you're seeing this. We saw it, you're seeing it with the yo-yo racing, but we've now seen it with Behrman's accident. It's a pure cause of these batteries, not bad driving skill. No,
hopefully we're not going to see any more of these, but I think it may be because they're still trying to get their heads around it. And we're getting the yo-yo racing, we're getting some very strange little pushes and flips and things.
Well, we saw Antonelli slightly lose it in Japan and save it back again. Doesn't it show you how amazing he has become this season to be up there fighting at the front with George Russell, who's got a lot of experience? Antonelli came in at the age of 17, really, really young. Incredible. Massive gamble by Toto. This guy, or Lewis, To me, it's a no-brainer. Surely it's Lewis.
It's replacing Lewis.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it helped that they put George into the number one, and they thought, okay, I'm not replacing Lewis, I'm number two.
Yeah.
But still, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been such a dominant team, but he's gone straight in there and go, yeah, fine.
He's been,
Boom.
to be honest with you, he's been spectacular.
He might
Even
win
in
the season.
even in Australia, coming second to
Yeah.
George. George looked dominant, but to come in and get the lead that he got in China, because the Ferraris were fighting, the lead that he got in Japan, because the Ferraris and Russell were fighting. The great thing in Japan is we finally got to see McLaren actually put some cars on the track.
Yeah.
To be fair, Norris got fifth in
Yeah.
Australia and China. Didn't in China? It didn't even start.
No.
Neither driver started in China. We haven't even mentioned that
Talk
yet.
about Japan.
So Norris got fifth in China. Piastri crashed, so didn't start. We then get to the grid in China, race 2. Norris, they can't get something to do with the energy in the battery working. He's in the
That's
pit
it. He's in the
garage,
pit garage,
not
yeah.
starting. Piastri's on the grid. They can't get his working either. And something to do with the battery in the engine and so on. Toto's team, who supplies these engines, goes off and wins the race, 1-2, leaving the world champions, McLaren, of 2024 and 2025, double world champions, not even starting the race. How to win a championship?
It's quite handy, isn't it? It is quite handy.
Sabotage your suppliers.
Yeah, you don't charge the
wow.
battery up at the back. Yeah, I don't think. I mean,
I'd love to have heard the Zach Brown Toto Wolff phone call on Monday morning
Yeah.
after China. But what I was going to was brilliant now to see Piastri was running first and second in Japan, and they reckon if it wasn't for the safety car and his strategy based with that, he could have possibly won that race against Russell at the time. Because of the strategy, Antonelli, his strategy worked well in Leclerc, which meant that they came up and Antonelli went on to win Japan again.
and he's now leading the championship.
The youngest driver in the history of Formula One to lead a world championship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's see if that will continue. One thing that's not going to continue are the Middle East races at the moment. The Bahrain Grand Prix has been cancelled. That was used for testing because it's the great weather and it's kind of near the first set of races. It's halfway to Asia and Australia. But the Saudi race in Jeddah has also been cancelled for safety fears. Now, obviously, we're well aware of what's going on with Iran in the Middle East. I said myself, I was in Dubai, and I think it would not have been tolerable to have that race in Bahrain.
No.
The safety of the guests is paramount, of the drivers, the teams, all the crew, everyone. It's a big financial hit for F1, certainly with the Saudi one as well, because it's a huge population, the TV rights, everything. And now we have nothing. We've lost momentum a little bit. But the bigger question I have, what's going to happen at the end of the season? Now,
Yes.
at the end of the season, after Vegas, we've got Qatar and Abu Dhabi, which is the traditional closer. Could we see Vegas being the last race?
Joe, I think at this minute in time, everything's so uncertain. I don't see how this war is going to come to an end at this minute in time because of the factors. I don't want to get into any political side of it, but we cannot predict anything. So I think we've got to basically assume that they might not happen.
Do you think they might replace those two at the end with some other circuits? They may have some time to be able to do that.
Obviously, there's talk about Portimao coming in.
Yeah.
And there's other circuits
But
around.
you have the weather. You got to think about the weather. November, December.
Yeah.
Is
But
Europe going to be good for that? I don't know.
It's cold. I don't know. We could go to Kyalami in South Africa. We go to Malaysia. There's lots of tracks. There's a track in India. There's a track in Turkey. Even Turkey's quite close over there. I think. We can't predict it. It's so uncertain. But I don't see it being solved quickly.
No.
And I don't know if Formula One, again, logistically, will be able to make that work else in other parts of the world. So here's my suggestion. We did it in 2020. We had 2 back-to-back races at Silverstone and 2 back-to-back races in Austria. All right? If they want 22 or 24 races to happen to complete the season. Not being funny, we used to have 16 races a season. It's just that you start out at the beginning of the season knowing you've got 24 races. Now
there's also TV rights and things and sponsors. The contracts
so much
are all tied into the amount of races, the amount of exposure they get, the TV time. That's all good. That's all being recalculated and evaluated now. I think yes. Look, if you can deal with the winter vibes, look, can you get the guests, spectators sitting in the stands in November, December?
But again, in 2020, we didn't have any spectators in the stands, Joe, and it was all about TV entertainment with people watching from home.
Well,
I think what you said about the safety of the crowds and the guests, actually, when you go to watch a Formula One race, it's a choice. You can choose to go or not. But I think it's the safety of the teams and all the people that work there, the circus, Joe, that we've been part of many, many a times over the last few years. All right. It's the safety of those people that work there, I think, is the most important thing in those drivers, because it will be an absolute pinpoint for people to
keep
target.
It to North America. So you're in Vegas, you're over here. Do another Canadian maybe, and then in the Del Boy, do Miami twice.
Well, you've been waiting to do
I've been waiting to say that. Miami twice.
There it is.
Why not finish in North America? It's there.
Yeah.
You've got Brazil as well. I mean, it's difficult logistics, but I don't know.
I think the only answer would be to do a double race somewhere, a double weekend.
Double Vegas, I don't think would work. You've got to shut down a town. You need a circuit. You need a circuit somewhere. Mexico, you could go back to Mexico.
You've got Mexico, you've got COTA as well, which is not too far away from Vegas logistically. There's options, but I think at the moment it's just so uncertain. We can predict, we can throw balls in the air, but I think whoever wants to win this championship has got to get on with it and do it.
Well, they can't think about this stuff. I mean, it's for people like us to be able to talk about it, and it's up for F1 to deal with this. And at the end of the day, the races have to really focus. The next race in the Canada is Miami.
Yes, it
sort
is.
of North America. Miami once, they're going to call it. It's going to be Miami, Canada, and Monaco. Miami, look, it's a great new, we call it new, it's been going a couple of years now, but it's really been building up and finding its way to get its identity.
It needs to find an identity. I've actually, as a spectator and watched Miami, I've not been to Miami since my honeymoon. That's the word I was going to use. And we actually stayed really near the stadium.
Right.
So I know the area from a honeymoon perspective.
Cool.
Yeah. But, and of course, no thoughts of an F1 race.
You couldn't get your honeymoon at Silverstone.
Back in that day.
You tried.
It was, yeah, if only. 20 years ago, mate, it was. So I've struggled with the fact they're putting yachts in swimming pools at the side of the track over there. And it, like, come on, America.
It's kind of cool, but I know what you mean.
Come on, let's have a yacht in Monaco Harbour and Abu Dhabi Marina, Joe. Let's do it properly. So it needs an identity. It needs to be American. It needs to have that American flavour.
Yeah.
And I've been to a few baseball matches over there and ice hockey matches. It's different. It's crazy.
It's got that Miami Vice feel about it.
It does.
The neon, the pinks, and the greens and blues and things.
And it's the Netflix effect, the Liberty Media effect.
And following that, you've got like a heritage track with Canada.
Yes.
Villeneuve.
Oh,
I love it. That's one of the first ones I went to.
I adore it.
And it's just a great vibe. It's on the island. Canadians are lovely. Superb.
I cycled round it when I was working in Montreal back in 2002, and all I ever remember about the circuit is as Nigel Mansell comes out the hairpin before the long straight in his Williams in 1991, and he's waving at the crowd in the hairpin. I've won the race, and breaks down with one corner to go and watches Senna drive past him. Moments of history in Formula One is what it's all about. Seeing Jenson Button win there.
Oh, well, that was an incredible race, that one. Yeah. They've got great history, and then Monaco, of course, and we'll save Monaco for the next podcast because we have a lot to talk about Monaco, and may even be at Monaco ourselves, so we never know. I think it's been a bumpy start to this year. I've enjoyed the yo-yo racing. Mm-hmm. I love that close-knit. That's what the rules and regulations with the new ones are there to do, to try and make it a fairer platform, across the board for all the teams, the independent teams as well as the big manufacturers.
Well, and
are they getting it right?
Well, what we need to see is innovation in Formula One, and one of the biggest innovations we've seen in practice, but not actually in qualifying of the race, is the Ferrari rear wing.
Oh, yeah.
The 180 degree where it flips right over. They call it the Luke Littler, don't they? The 180.
The 180.
So, or the flip-flop wing.
Flip-flop,
There's
yes,
different names for things.
like it.
People are talking about it. They're seeing it in practice. We want to see this in the race. We want
It's not
to
been
see
used in the race, has
no,
it? No.
not at all. They've taken it off every time to go with what they know and what they think is going to work. Well, is it, I don't know. I want to see things like this in Formula 1. I love seeing the front wings and the rear wings
it's cool.
move at the same time.
That, yeah.
But where everybody can deploy it at any point, it sort of nullifies it a little bit.
Well, that was the thing about DRS. They were saying, what's the point in having DRS?
But the point was you could only use it when you're 1 second behind the car in front.
In certain zones.
And of course that's now been replaced by the boost, which of course then gets nullified by the harvest. That's it with the harvesting.
Boost,
So we're seeing innovation, we're seeing lots and lots of new things happening, and it just needs to settle down a little bit. And Max is impatient because his car's not working. George is frustrated because his teammate seems to be doing a little bit better than we all expected. Lewis, we want to see him get that 8th world title, and Ferrari are up there, but I think McLaren are actually in there with them too. It's just that they couldn't quite get the cars on the grid, to have 3 DNSs out of 6 so far. I just can't believe it. We expect that from Aston Martin right now, and Cadillac, and probably Audi. Really, I would expect it from.
Yeah.
But I think Bortoletto and Hulkenberg, another great strong driver. I don't think any of us thought Bortoletto would stay in Formula 1 after one season, and he's come in and been brilliant.
He's coming, and so is Arvin Lindblad.
Well,
let's finish on him.
Local boy to near you, Joe.
Well, near me is in Virginia Water.
In Virginia Water, exactly.
Wentworth, you'd probably call it.
I would, as a golfer.
Yes, you would. Yeah. Apparently he's a local lad and a young lad, and he's really, taken to it very well.
He's come in to teammate to Liam Lawson, who obviously had a hard time against Max Verstappen at Red Bull at the start of last year. Lindblad has come in. I don't know if you've seen any of his interviews, but he's so eloquent, so well spoken.
Well, that's a Swedish in him.
Is that what it is?
Swedes, they speak better English than we do. It is unbelievable. Yeah, you go to Sweden, you're in for a bit of a hiding. And also, I gather, he grew up in a very affluent area, so he's been brought up well and educated and all the jazz.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything when you're on the racetrack.
He's come in confident, is what it really is, I'd say. He's come in, he just seems confident, he seems to know what he's doing and what he's talking about, and has just come straight in next to Liam Lawson, and off we go. And he's had some great results already in a car that I think looks better than the Red Bull senior team. And why not put Max in one of them? See what happens.
That's a good idea.
Why not? Why can't Red Bull do that? Why, let's just move it around a bit. Put your best driver in your best car.
That's what they did last season.
They moved Liam and Tsunoda.
Look at Yuki as well. He's gone.
But why not? I don't. It's we've never seen it work like that before. But if Max isn't happy,
that's the idea of the day.
There we go.
Well, we will be back for the next episode of Racehouse after the Miami, Monaco, and the Canadian Grand Prix, not in that order. And we'll talk to you about Monaco and what's going on. Hopefully, we'll see a whole new reshuffle in the team's fortunes. We may see McLaren come back. Well, Aston will be able to get out the doldrums, and can Cadillac get their first point? It's all to play for. I'm really excited for the restart of this season.
We just want to see it happen. We're still another 3.5 weeks away from Miami. The time will fly by. It always feels like it's going to be forever, but it will fly by. But they need this time in the factory. If they can get some test time on a private track, like what Ferrari have got. Mugello, haven't they, as a track, and hopefully Aston's can get out on Silverstone and do some mileage, because that's what they need, and hopefully Honda can sort it out. They sorted it out at Red Bull, to be fair, when they were there, because they were terrible at McLaren. Do you remember?
It was terrible. That's
so
rid of them.
They've done it before. They can do it again.
Well, they can do it again. That's it. That's our predictions as well for the next month or so. Do follow us on the socials, and if you have any questions or comments, please get in touch, and we'll try and give you a shout out for the next one. I'd like to give a shout out on this episode to Mr. Michael Reeves, because the first time I met Darren's dad today, and he recognised me from the podcast and everything. So it's so nice to go and say hi and sign him up as a subscriber. So one by one, we're knocking on doors.
He'll listen to you, Joe. He doesn't want to listen to me.
But the problem is, he's got to listen to the whole episode now to get the shout out.
To even get to that point.
Well, it's a great episode and nice to catch up and be here back in the UK. We're looking forward to more F1 action. But for now, it's bye from me, Joe Lee.
And goodbye from me, Darren Reeves. Take care.
Hey!